So we've got our bulkhead here, 1.5 inch bulkhead, 1.5 inch pipe. One thing you'll notice that's different between this and the glass tank is the glass tank will never drop below the height of the bulkhead that's drilled in the side. This, because the bulkhead is drilled into the bottom, like so, means we can drain this entire tank out. So we have to set up some kind of standpipe system to keep the water from draining out completely. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to cut an outer pipe, and then we're going to drop a 1-inch piece of pipe in the middle of that. It's going to sit in this bottom of this bulkhead, and that's going to maintain our water height. So the first step is to figure out how far up this pipe we have to cut. We're going to use our speed square, line this up on the side, to keep reasonably level by pressing on it, and we're going to draw a line. Okay, so that line is equivalent to the tippy top of the tank. That's too high. So if we get into an emergency overflow situation, you don't want that at the tippy top of the tank. That means not only is water flowing into the top of your pipe, as an emergency overfill, it's also flowing out onto your floor. So pop this out. We're going to measure 1 inch down from that. And that is where we're going to make our cut. Okay. Right, so, in theory, that's 1 inch. Next step will be we have to line up our vents, which is what's going to let the water from the bottom flow from the bottom of this in to our outer pipe. So to do that, we're going to make another line. So that much of this pipe is buried inside of the bulkhead. We're going to put slats in here above that, and that's how we're going to pull water in. All right, we'll take that to the saw in a minute. In the meantime, we're going to have a look at how we're actually going to get our 1 inch pipe to stay. So what we have is 1.5 inch bulkhead. This is 1.5 inch to 1 1/4. I believe that's what it is. Yep, 1.5 inch. This is 1.5 inch to 1 1/4 adapter, male-female adapter. So what we're going to do with this is this is going to screw into here, and we'll thread tape that to reduce leaking. Then we're going to use this little rubber piece to go from this 1 1/4 to a 1 inch. Okay, to do that, pretty simple. First, you have to take your clamps and back them off as really far so they're not interfering at all. Then you just take this rubber piece and you fit it over the top of your 1 1/4 inch, like so. We want to make sure we don't lose our rings. So I'm going to back this off a little bit more. And just tighten that up. Okay, for the other side, we take our 1 inch. We're going to do the same thing. And wiggle this around. Sorry, this is a 1 inch coupler, is what this is. We're going to put this in the 1 inch side, kind of wiggle around until it fits. Note there's a knob on here, that little piece right there. You either got to trim that off or use the smooth side so you don't get a leak. Again, we're going to have to back this clamp off a little bit. And if this is hard to manipulate, you can get some water in there that'll lubricate it up, make it a little easier to slide around. But basically, you want to come down to the edge of that little piece there. You don't want to go much past that because then you're going to create a space where water can get through. And so that's what it looks like on the inside. So really very little of that rubber is in contact with the water. Tighten that down. Okay, and then we have an adapter that a 1 inch pipe will fit into. It's nice and secure. So this is what's going to slide up through that 1.5 inches. And then we're going to cut this off 1 inch below the height of the 1.5 inches. And then this is our standpipe. This will set the minimum amount of water that can be in the tank. And then ultimately it just slides in here. Screwed in place. And you have a two-sided drain. That in over the top. So I want to make sure that there's at least enough water in here to cover this window up. A couple of reasons for that, one of which is if you've got your water level down here, then you're basically going to get a nasty scum line right across the middle of this. So if you keep the water level up a bit higher, it'll just look better. So I can take a ruler, and it looks like I'm going to need at least 10.5 inches of water. So I already put this little sample piece of 1 inch in and marked off where my base of the tank's going to be in relationship to this 1 inch. I can now take that, match it up to here. Note where that red mark is. That red mark is about at the E on this new pole. I can now take that short piece, match it up on this longer piece of pole, and that mark is somewhere around the T here. I'll just transfer that over, and then I will measure up from that point 10.5 inches, which is about at the G. Okay, so that's going to be my cut point. Okay, and now this should drop nicely in there. That's going to be my top level for water, and then this piece drops in over the top. You can see how there's a little difference there in height. So this is my overflow height, which is awfully close to the top of this. I can almost shave a little bit more off. And then that standpipe is how high the water is going to be. Now what this also means is if the standpipe's that high, I'm going to have a fair amount of water in here, but that's easy to adjust. I can just take 1 inch, 1.5 inches off of the 1 inch pipe in the middle until I'm happy with the flow. Alright, so I'm going to put my slits in this to allow water to come in through the bottom. I'm going to do 3 tight rows, 3 repeating, starting off pretty much at that red line. Okay, so 3 sets. Could have been spaced out a little better, but not bad. What that's going to look like over here when it drops on. You can see our slits are right down there at the bottom. So we'll get a nice draw of water and solids right into the pipe, which will go up and then down.